can't remember if this is a 62 or a 66 or something. This was the original guitar that I played in the U-Men. It actually belongs to John Bigley, who was the singer for the U-Men. I borrowed it from him and never gave it back. And I've had it for about 25 years now. Every once in a while he goes, "Hey, I want that guitar back." I'm Tom Price. I'm 47 years old. I have 2 kids and Parkinson's disease, and I'm a musician, and I've been playing music for about as long as I can remember. And I'm now playing a band called the Tom Price Desert Classic, and I've played in many other bands before that. I'm always involved in some kind of weird project of one sort or another. Some people I think are okay with just writing songs and leaving it at that. I have enough ego or lack of self-esteem or whatever that for some reason I have to have them played by a band in front of the public and recorded. It's not a good habit. Meet somebody who has an obvious disability or blind or something, you're like, how do I have to tiptoe around this, or, how do I deal with that? But most of my friends deal with it in a pretty straight up way, which is really cool. Yeah. It is possible to fall into the, oh, I have Parkinson's, I can't do that mentality. Sometimes you can't, sometimes you can. So when I first was diagnosed with it, as it first started getting bad, I didn't really know enough about it or how it would affect me to do anything other than assume the worst, which is that in a couple of years I'll be a vegetable who can't even hold up a guitar. I started out with changing the way I play guitar quite a bit. In the past, I always liked songs with lots of notes and chords and fast changes and stuff, a la Gassuffer. This band is definitely more like 1 or 2 or 3 chords, and there's lots of just and just hold the chord and more distortion and stuff, which is kind of a cool sound anyhow. I'm not saying I wouldn't have gone that way anyhow, but it was definitely, the sound was influenced by the realities of how I can play the guitar. And since then, as I've gotten more control and understanding of Parkinson's, I've realized that I can actually play guitar better than I think I can or thought I could at that time. It is a progressive degenerative thing, so it just gets worse and worse as time goes on. And I have had to take more and more pills, more and more dope to make it through a show. But there are a lot of other factors too. Rest being a primary one, which when you have 2 young kids is not always a possibility, even when you have a show coming up in a couple hours, But I've got that fairly well under control. Since I was diagnosed with it, I think there's only been 2 or 3 shows I've done where I just mistimed or whatever, and where I really felt like, oh my God, you know, I can't do this, you know, or my arms just weren't working, or my voice just wasn't working. And sometimes just adrenaline will get you through that. One or two other times, no, you just go, gotta cut the set short. But you know, 2 or 3 times over the last several years, that's not so bad. I feel like I've got that under control, more or less. This is my, I call it the rock room, sometimes the dude room. What it really is the junk room. These are some of my sculptures here. This is probably my favorite one. Stoners in Rowboat. Those are the radio-controlled monkeys. There's my Wurlitzer, the Piper. There's the records. CDs don't smell. Downloaded tunes don't smell. You pull out, you know, an old Marvin Gaye record, it has an aroma to it. Some records, old records, totally takes me back to, you know, some weird apartment where I used to live with a bunch of freaks or something, or it reminds me of some girl I used to date or something. If I can find it, hang on. Not quite as organized as I should be here. There's this one record I made with Monkey Wrench. It was a split single with the band Hole, and I'm pretty sure it's the worst record I've ever made, ever been involved with in any way. Oh yeah, this one. See, it's Hole, but they're called the Holes. And there's Monkey Wrench. And what it was originally supposed to be was a tribute to the Germs. And we did Shut Down, which is the big noise experiment at the end of side 2 on the Germs record. Okay, fine. But that project fell apart, and they just tried to salvage it and put a couple of songs out on the 45. And taken out of context, it makes no sense whatsoever. You know, it's just a bunch of crap, really, is what it is. So let's see if it sounds as bad as I remember it sounding. I think it probably will. This is Mark and Steve from Mudhoney, and there's Martin, who's in the Desert Classic, and Tim Kerr from Texas, old buddy. Another Monkey Wrench 45. 610 Phoenix. This record they probably pressed up, I don't know, a couple hundred copies. Nobody's ever heard, hardly anybody's ever heard this song, but it's great. It's a cover of some obscure English tune, but I always thought this was kind of a cool song. That was a tough photo shoot. We were doing it outside, and bees came. You know, we're all stuck under this table with trying to hold our heads up with butter and syrup and pancakes everywhere, and bees started zeroing in on us. So that's why we're all smiling and laughing, because we're being attacked by bees. There's a split single we did with the Fastbacks years and years ago. is a band I've been in kind of off and on over the years called the Kings of Rock, just doing garage cover bands. There's a Kings of Rock Christmas 45. I also played in a band called the Del Lagunas, off and on for many years. It's basically the instrumental version of Gas Huffer. It's another Kings of Rock. There's the first ever Gas Huffer 45. Firebug and Jesus Was My Only Friend. There's me in drag. There's a bootleg for Gas Huffer 45. I want a couple of the Dope Guns and Fucking in the Streets compilations. My mom thinks it's really funny. There's the first U-Men single. This was kind of it's got a Solid Action and Dig It a Hole. I think there were only a couple thousand of these pressed, but it's become sort of an underground hit. I guess it's been re-released on a lot of compilations and stuff. That one, just one of those records that came out really well.